So this is a video for all the people out there who absolutely love Starfield like me. Starfield to me is an absolutely amazing game. Now don't get me wrong, it has massive issues that are at the moment are holding it back, and it is so disappointing. But for me, I've played 200 hours, I'm level like 70 odd, and I absolutely love the game. I can't stop playing it. Once I'm on the game, I don't want to come off, and when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about the next time I'm going to play it and what I'm going to do. My quest log is just full of all these. I've got a couple of main quests to do, I've still got Ryujin, I've still got 3-star collective, I'm in like New Game Plus 1 or 2, been through the Unity twice, and I'm just loving it. I love the story, I love the main quest, I love the characters, shipbuilding's great, outpost building I've not really touched much, apart from to do an XP farm to get me up a few levels, because leveling is pretty slow, and I wanted to get some skill points to put in a few sort of key skills, so I did a bit of XP farming. So it's just so sad to me that this game could have been 10 out of 10, could have been absolutely amazing, and there's just so much that's holding it back. And I feel like there's two groups of people now out there. There are the people, there seems to be like a hump at the beginning of the game. So the majority of players start playing the game and they kind of hit this hump where all the negative stuff in the game, the terrible interface, the broken systems, the bugs, they can't get over that hump and they stop playing, and then potentially they'll just never come back. But then there's the other group of people that I am part of, and that the people on Reddit are part of, who seem to get over this initial hump where they can see the potential of the game, and all these bad things and broken systems and terrible interface, they're there and they're annoying, but it kind of doesn't dull the good stuff about the game, and you get over that hump and then the game just gets better and better and better. It's a great game for me to be able to build your little ship however you want, and then that can be your little home, it can be your home base, it can be your house, and you're flying around to these different planets, landing on all different weird planets, doing all these little side quests. There's loads of lore and great little stories hidden in the side quests, and it's such a shame that people are missing out on that and they're not seeing it. I wanted to make loads of Starfield content, but because the game is so big and I've got limited time, I've spent so long playing the game that now I'm sort of at the point where I've done quite a lot of the game and I'm ready to, kind of make some good videos about it. And then I sort of check the interest on YouTube and the internet, and the interest in the game has just absolutely dropped. It's dropped out of the top 100 on Steam. It's something like 120 on Steam. There's hardly anybody playing the game on Steam anymore. On Xbox, it was in the top 10 for ages, and now it's just dropped, and it's sort of it's around 25 in the top most played Xbox games, so it's dropping. And it's just so sad to see, because this game could have been so good. And for me it is good, and for a lot of people it is a great game. But there's just so much broken about it. They need to fix it quickly. If they could fix some of these quality of life issues, it may be enough to get people back, but I'm worried now that it's not, that people have played it, they've had enough of it, they've lost interest, and no matter what Bethesda do now, a lot of people won't come back. So let me know in the comments, what do you think of Starfield? Are you still playing it? Do you love it? What do you love about it? What do you hate about it? Have you given up playing it for the moment, but you might come back once they fix some of the issues? Or is that it for you, you're just not going to come back? Now, one of the big things that I hear people moaning about is the main quest, and that it's weak and that it's boring. For me, I absolutely love the main quest. I blasted through it at the beginning because I didn't want anything spoilt for me. So when the game first came out, I just played the main quest and nothing else, and I loved it. I love the idea of joining Constellation, and they discovered these artifacts that gave you these weird visions, and they didn't know what it all meant. and to go off around finding these artifacts in different locations, doing these different quests, like the Entangled quest, absolutely brilliant, where you're jumping backwards and forwards between these parallel universes, and then you find out that it was all down to the artifacts, that the Earth was destroyed and we lost all the atmosphere. It's great. And then obviously you're used to flying around in your little clunky Frontier spaceship, and then you come across Starborn. And you're like, what are these? They're in these amazing sort of unique spacesuits. They're in these sleek looking ships that are completely different than anything you've seen before. And finding out who the Starborn are and what their goal is, choosing to work with them or against them, or side with the hunter or the emissary. It's brilliant. It's such a good story. And then obviously the big sort of divisive end to the game is New Game Plus and Unity. So the big decision of whether you go through the Unity, you kind of lose everything that you've built in this universe, and then you start all over again in a new universe. That's been massively divisive, and some people love it. I love it. I love the idea of it. But a lot of people absolutely hate it, because they're like, you've let me play this game for like 200 hours, and I've done all of these missions, and sort of built all these relationships, got ships, got money, got weapons, and you want me to lose all of that and start all over again in a new universe? And they're like, why would I do that? That's just stupid. Whereas to me, I can see New Game Plus as the big thing is, obviously you can do it like I did. I rushed through the quest the first time, then I did New Game Plus, and I did the option where you can skip the main quest and just get the artifacts again, and that was quite cool. New bits of dialogue, you tell Constellation all about you, that you reveal to them that you're a Starborn and what you're doing, and they help you find the artifacts and everything. That is really cool. Or the third time that I did it, I've played the whole main quest again, but I've taken it slowly. I've replayed the whole thing while kind of pretending that I'm not a Starborn and I don't know what's going on. But you do get lots of additional dialogue options. So when you're having a conversation with Barrett or Sarah, you get these extra Starborn options, and you can drop little hints, and you can make out that you actually know what's going to happen, and they're sort of questioning, how can you know that? How can you know what's going to happen? We've only just discovered these artifacts, we don't know anything about them, how can you know? And I think it's really clever. It's a great idea. And what you can do with New Game Plus is, if you finish the story in the game now and you do everything that you want to do, then you could put the game down and you could come back to it in months or years' time, and then you could always go through the Unity into New Game Plus, and it gives you the opportunity to play the whole game again, but you're not losing all the powers that you've built up, you're not losing all the skills that you've unlocked. The difficulty is supposed to increase it each time that you go through the Unity, to give you more of a challenge as you're getting better and better at the game. So you can do it like that. I think some people have blasted through New Game Plus all the way to New Game Plus 10 to do all the temples, get all the powers, max out the character, and obviously that's really boring and repetitive. To just keep doing New Game Plus over and over and over again, one after another, I can see why people have found that really boring, but to me that's not how it was designed to be played. It was designed to make the game replayable for years to come. It wasn't designed for you to blast through 10 rounds of New Game Plus one after another, do 240 temples. And while I'm talking about the temples, their temple minigame is just horrendous. The idea that you're just floating around in this room, going through these little twinkly little star things, yeah, that's fine the first time through, but to make you do that 24 times to get all the powers, and then in New Game Plus you have to do it again 24 more times, there's got to be some way to skip that. They need to change it, they need to make it more interesting, or they just need to allow you to skip that minigame, because it's just rubbish. And that is another criticism that I've seen of the game, is that they've kind of, it's like they couldn't fully decide what they wanted New Game Plus to be. So they've given you this option to replay the game, but then in a lot of the quests and things, the quest will be very similar if you play it through again. So what they should have done with a lot of the quests is have at least 2 different endings for each quest, or ways that you could do the quest completely differently, so that when you go through New Game Plus and you do the same quest again, whether it's the Vanguard or the Free Star or whatever, they should have made it so that when you go through New Game Plus you get a completely different ending. Or you can do a New Game Plus where you're just completely evil and you can just kill whoever you want, locking yourself out of all different quests. You can basically ruin the game for yourself, ruin the universe by making everyone hate you and ruining everything, but then you can just go through the Unity again and it all gets reset. And they've not done that for some reason, and I think that would have possibly solved a lot of this issue with New Game Plus. And people are like, what is the point of New Game Plus? Because it's just playing the game again. It would have been nice to have some bigger, sort of far-reaching consequences to the game, where choices that you made had a real impact on the game world, and sort of these massive decisions you could end up regretting because you've made some huge decision, but unfortunately they didn't do that. So going back to the shipbuilder, I absolutely love the shipbuilder. I spent hours and hours and hours in it. Now yes, the interface for the shipbuilder is terrible. There's so little hand-holding that the game does for you, which is good in some ways, but then in others there's so much that's not explained that really could do with explaining. So there are a lot of ship parts that you can't get until you hit certain levels. So, but this isn't explained in the game. There's nowhere that it tells you that there's more parts, and when you hit a certain level and more ship parts become available, there's nothing in the game. There's no notification to tell you that you've now got more ship parts. It's just almost by luck that you go, oh, where's this? I've not noticed this before. Where's this come from? And they've done this kind of level locking quite a lot in the game, and I think that was a mistake. So there's things like the points of interest, the POIs. They're also, we think, this has not been confirmed, but people are pretty sure that there are POIs around the world that are locked by level. So until you get to a certain level, I think it's around level 70, you'll keep seeing the same POIs sort of repeating over and over. And it's only when you get past level 70 that they kind of add new ones to the rotation, and you start seeing new POIs that you've not seen before. So this procedural generation of and placement of these POIs on planets could have been so much better if they'd kind of handcrafted it a little bit more and only allowed certain POIs on certain planets, or even certain levels of planets, certain systems, so that you didn't get this repetition. And even worse, people have shown examples where you get the same POI repeated on the same planet within sight of each other. So you'll find one abandoned mine, and then you look in the distance and oh, there's another identical abandoned mine. And you go and have a look, and all the enemies are exactly the same in the same place, all the loot is the same. Any little tablets and lore information and stuff and dead bodies and things are all in the same place. So that kind of spoils it for people. Now, me personally, I've not really gone round any POIs because I've been that busy concentrating on the quests. I've seen loads of POIs off in the distance, but I've not bothered trekking out to them to go and have a look round, so it's not really affected me. But I know exploration for some people is a massive part of what they like about Bethesda games. So like in Skyrim, you can just be walking down the road or through the woods and you'll come across some new unique POI, and you go in, it's a cave or a castle or a fort or whatever, and you go in and you explore around and you find a unique weapon, you find some lore, some handwritten notes, or a dead body in there, or a chest or something, and it's only in that one location. You're then going to leave there and walk around the rest of the Skyrim map, and you won't ever come across that exact same location again because it was a one-off. Another thing is the outposts. The outposts could be amazing, and it's obviously, they used to be a bigger part of the game, and there was a requirement to have an outpost with your like helium extractors and stuff, and it was built into how your ship would fly across the stars, that you would need to have an outpost and plan your journey to go via your outpost to refuel your ship. So they took this refueling mechanic out of the game, so they kind of made outposts redundant but left them in the game. So you can put them in there for a bit of role playing to build yourself a nice little home base, but there's no actual need to do it to finish the game. You don't need to build an outpost. There's no real point to it, and they're a little bit broken. They're very buggy, and there are a few little side quests, a few little quests you can get on the mission board where you have to deliver certain materials to certain planets, and you can do that with your outpost and you can set up your cargo links. But apart from that, they're not needed as part of the main quest. They're not needed as part of any other side quests. So if they could update the game to give more of a purpose to outposts, to give you more of an incentive to spend hours making a nice outpost, then that would be great. But for me, all of these are like bonus things. So I absolutely love the game already in the state that it is in, and I'm sure there's lots of other people out there who agree with me. All of these things would be a bonus on top. They would make the game even better. For me, they would push the game from a solid sort of 8 out of 10, they'd push it up to a 9 or a 10. If they could fix all of these things, that these half-finished systems and the terrible interface, it could be a 10 out of 10 game, easily. The loading screens really don't bother me. I play on Xbox Series X, loading screens, a couple of seconds, really does not take me out of the game, does not break the immersion. Loading screens don't bother me at all. I'm quite happy fast travelling around between planets. When I go on to the game to have a go, I've only got a couple of hours to spend on the game. I don't want to spend ages flying from one planet to another and watching landing sequences every time I take off and land. I'm quite happy fast travelling around. If you want to fly around manually a bit, then you can. You can fly around in space, you can go and do some space shootouts, but that's not what the game is supposed to be. It's supposed to be an RPG where it's about the story and the interactions and things, not about flying around in space. It's not supposed to be a space simulator game. So what do you think about all this? Are you still playing Starfield? Are you loving it as much as I am? What level are you? How many hours have you put into it? I know some people have put like over 1,000 hours into it and they still love it. Let me know in the comments. What are you hoping for with future content? What do you think Shattered Space is going to be about? Will we learn more about the Starborn? Will we learn more about the creators of the artifacts and the temples? Because there's very little explained about them in the game. Let me know what you think.